Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is BeatStreet Sports Talk Radio. It is terrific Tuesday. We got a great show in store for you. As always, this is your host, Lee, the Hoops Guru, along with my man Eddie, Mr. Know-It-All. What we're going to do is go over the things that happened in sports over this weekend and maybe some other hot topics, but particularly football. A lot of good things happened. Hey, what's going on, Ed? How's everything?
Yo, everything is everything, brother.
Everything is everything, man. Like, Week 11 is gone. Week 12 is on its way in the NFL. And you know what? The Hoops Guru turned into the football guru, man. I'm telling you, we had a nice week last week. We went, 10-5, while Eddie went a respectable 9-6. So, stretching that out a little bit on you, bruh. You're gonna have to take some more chances. Matter of fact, you took a lot of chances this week. When I went back and looked at it, surprised at some of the picks.
I got a couple people that sold me out, but it happens.
Who's the biggest sellout you think? San Francisco?
No. San Francisco got robbed. That should be a loss for you, but they called that BS call with the clothesline on Breeze just because he's like 5'4" and the guy came around the shoulder pads. That should have been a loss for you. And then also, Houston selling out and losing to doggone Oakland. So, I
lost the Houston game too.
Yeah, so it's a couple. Okay, it wasn't that with them, but it was a couple of other games that people just truly sold me out on. But it's all good. Like I said, we got 16 weeks, so it's all good.
I think the biggest sellout was Atlanta at Tampa Bay.
I don't know what to make of Atlanta right now. Like, that was just ridiculous.
Yeah, man. I guess we can officially say they threw in the towel. Because they're not.
I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, they're not even competing anymore. I think Atlanta right now is 2-7.
2-8.
So, the 2-8. So the wheels have completely fell off of that team. Matt Ryan hasn't even started his big contract yet. I guess that kicks in next year. But they got a lot of, but they'll be healthy next year. I'm just wondering if you think the head coach will make it next year or after a season like this?
Yeah. Everybody talk all this, Dirty Birds, Jamal Anderson, and, Michael Vick crap, but not until when Matty Ice got there that they actually had back-to-back winning seasons in the history of the franchise, even with Deion Sanders. So, yeah, that coach and quarterback will be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They got quality receivers. I think Steven Jackson did sell them out as far as the running game is concerned. But the running backs are highly replaceable. I just think they need to get healthy. I don't think they're a bad team. I just think bad health and a little loss in pride is contributing to this bad season they're having right now.
Well, they've gone like 4 or 5 seasons without any injuries. So, they were due. This is the year they got it. So.
Yeah, but this is the year they had banked on a lot. I
know they banked on those things, but Atlanta is not going to Super Bowl. So, they can talk all that hotness they want to, but they're not going to Super Bowl.
They're building a new stadium. They're building a new stadium here because of the
what that mean?
Hey, normally you build a new stadium because, you think you're on the cusp of greatness and you're trying to generate of revenue.
No, that's because it passed dough. And then, for example, the house that Peyton Manning built in Lucas Oil Stadium, that's from doggone past performances, and doggone Irsay went ahead and just, bankrolled that loot and went ahead and rolled out that new stadium. That's all that is.
Well, that's what they're banking on from here in the future. Because there's nothing wrong with the Georgia Dome to me, but they want to build another $1.5 billion stadium in this place.
That's right. You got to keep up with Jerry Jones, and you got to keep up with the Jets and Giants. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's true. Especially, we know what comes with the stadiums. There's Super Bowl, college football games, a lot of NCAA tournaments, all those type of things come to town when you have a new stadium, especially in a city like Atlanta that's known for good weather and southern hospitality. So I understand the investment perfectly, but it helps if your football team can sell it out every week. They have been lately, but these fans here are fickle. They're easy to jump the ship in Atlanta, so they still need to put a good product on the field. But let's talk about a few of the games that went last week and see what I want to start first. Buffalo and the Jets. What happened there?
Well, it was EJ's second game. He looked very good despite the fact of not having the top 2 wide receiving options. And, Geno, he's a rookie. He's going through, rookie pains. I believe he threw 3 interceptions. He got benched, I believe, in the fourth quarter, sometime in the second half. And the wheels just fell off. They went into that game, and along with offensive turnovers and EJ's play, it just turned into Buffalo's favor. So I was highly surprised by that because I didn't expect, based off his previous week performance, that he would go ahead and be as sharp. I think it was 20 or 28, and they just went ahead with it right out there and dominated, which is a very good defensive front. So you're gonna have blips like that in the screen, especially when the offense is not keeping their end of the bargain up. But I'm still surprised that Buffalo put up 37.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at that exactly. Now, Geno Smith, it doesn't seem like they want to call him the quarterback of the future. Will the Jets rely on him next year, or will they pull a Tim Tebow and look for a veteran with this good defense they have and try to move on from Geno?
Oh, no, they're going to get a veteran, and they might even, depending upon how he finishes the season, because right now, despite the losses that they took and the losses of other teams we're going to talk about later, they're still in that 6th playoff spot. So,
right.
If he makes around plays good down the stretch or he makes the playoffs, they're still going to bring in a veteran because he's a young player. But regardless of what Rex and anybody else says, he's clearly the quarterback of the future. So there's no need to even go there with that.
So they're not going to draft anybody. They're not going to bring Vince Young in or anything like that.
They can bring. Whoever they bring in, they might even put it on the show and say that this person is here to give them some competition or whatever. But he's their quarterback. You took this dude, you took him at, he's pretty much had the reins all year. He's going to continue his development for him to play. So they're not going to be able to make a trade to get somebody because there's salary cap issues. So he's the quarterback.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too. I think he deserves it, even though they haven't put on a good streak or anything. But also too, he doesn't have a lot of great weapons. So I think they need to surround him with some better pieces and kind of take the pressure off him as well. So, that remains to be seen. We're going to keep the eye on how the Jets finish the season. But to me, already they're a success. I remember the max I heard that they would win was 4 games, and they've exceeded that. So, to me, everything from here on forward is a surplus. But there's another game I was really shocked at, too, Detroit at Pittsburgh. I believe the wheels fell off when they went for that fake field goal, right, and it got stopped, trying to get a first down.
What happened was that in?
Oh gosh, I can't remember that. I think it was the second half, but I'm not sure.
And the only reason why I asked is because I know the first half Detroit was giving them the business, and Megatron would have over 150 receiving. Stafford had over 300 yards passing, and it looked like they were just going to go ahead and go in for the kill the second half. But that second half, I don't know what Dick LeBeau and Tomlin said or did in the locker room, but they shut out Detroit the whole second half. But I think for one thing, they might have scored a field goal. But they pretty much shut them down the whole second half. Calvin didn't have no catches. They contained Stafford, and they made Reggie Bush fumble. He got benched, and Ben went ahead to heat it up with Antonio Brown, and they pulled that victory out. So I don't know what happened, but that agent and suspect play defense all of a sudden was just lights out the whole second half.
Detroit, this has got to be hurting them because they could have taken a commanding lead in their division with Green Bay lost. I think, did Chicago pull that game out?
Yes, home? They did.
Yeah, they did. Chicago pulled that game out. So, if Chicago would have lost, it would have even been better for them. But them losing that game and then basically letting Chicago be the team that gained ground is going to wind up hurting Detroit, I think. I think they'll survive, but it's going to make the division a lot tighter than it should be. We got to see how they respond next week because that loss is going to stay with you for a little bit. Another game I thought was very interesting. Well, not even interesting, more like surprising. The Washington Redskins and the Philadelphia Eagles, we both picked the Eagles to win, but I ain't expect it to be that easy, bro.
Well, I told you that the Redskins' defense is trash. they're quite horrible. So that played a part into the score and how the Eagles went ahead and mounted a big lead pretty much in the first three quarters. Let me see what else. The thing, I know everybody's talking about Nick Foles, but they won the game. He didn't even throw a touchdown pass. But the thing that's really been getting me is the fact that the offensive line has been playing well, and the defense. I'm not saying they're like world beaters or anything, but defense has been like solid, making some plays here and there, and kind of been bend but don't break, as you saw later on in the game when they started letting RG3 get back into it, which was not all the defense fault, but I mean,
that's classic. I'm playing not to lose instead of playing to win. So
yeah,
that was nothing anyway.
But they made plays, but I mean, I didn't think Washington was going to go ahead and come back or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, Nick still hasn't thrown an interception, and he still got 16 touchdowns. But people in Philadelphia are beginning to think that maybe he could be the answer, but they still want to see more. They're 6-5, leading the NFC East. He has the highest quarterback rating in the league at 128. The guy behind him is some dude named Peyton Manning with 118. So he has the highest completion percentage in reference to pass attempts and completions. I mean, so across the board, he's looking like that dude. No one wants to accept it, but it is what it is.
Question for you. Is Shady McCoy the best running back in the NFL?
No. Until somebody does on the thrones, Adrian Peterson, no, he got the spot.
What about for this year and what they're doing for their team's success?
All right, if you want to go year to year, not based on past performances and reputations of players, then you could say that you could either say him. Some people say Jamal Charles from the Chiefs.
Yeah, Charles is the real deal, man. He has world-class running speed, man. and then the one least to be forgotten, Beast Mode, a.k.a. Marshawn Lynch, is still putting in work. So he's right there with those two guys, but he doesn't get spoken of as much because he's not looked upon as like a game breaker, but he definitely is a tone setter. And he does one thing that those two guys don't do, which is you can give him 30 carries, and he's going to be the same from first to finish. Those other two guys are more outside guys and, will knock it up in there a little bit, but you never see them pretty much go through a hole, take contact, and go the distance like you see, Marshawn, Adrian Peterson, and Arian Foster. So you picked the Eagles to win the NFC East, right?
In the beginning of our first telecast.
Okay. So you're looking good so far, man. Because I think I picked them to be 8-8. So
you picked some team from Texas to win the division.
Yeah, I did. On paper, man, I wasn't about what it was on paper. I know they was going to sell rocks in real life, but
hey, they've been selling rocks, and that paper's been wrong for 13 years. So I don't know what made you think it's going to be different now.
And because the division's not as strong as it should be. So I figured, hey, if they stayed at least where they were and not regress to where the rest of the pack was, they should win this division easily. That was my thinking. But surprise, crazy that, they got a game coming into New York. This week could be a game changer for the whole division. It's crazy. We don't even need to talk about the New York Giants, Green Bay. Everybody expected the Giants to win that game playing against a third-string quarterback. They did enough. I think the good thing is for the Giants organization and fans that the defense looks like has waken up, and if that's so, they should have a chance to squeeze out a few more victories in this division. Don't you agree the defense looks better than half of 0-6?
I mean, that's not really saying much because they didn't do anything. So the fact they did a little something, I'm not impressed with that. My thing is do it again.
Okay. Well, so what? They have to hold the Cowboys this week coming up? Is that what you're saying, or what?
Yeah, like, man, now when you actually see a team with an actual starting quarterback, let's see what they do then.
So this is their real test this week, you think? Like, if they win this one, that'll be 5 in a row. They beat the division opponent with their starting quarterback. They win this game, you could say, all right, the Giants are for real. They're in the hunt. They need to be taken seriously from this.
I'm not gonna say they're for real till they get over 500, which I still don't see it happening. So.
Yeah, it might not, but you know what? They still got 2 games against the Redskins, another against the Eagles. So they got some winnable games there. So this division is going to be tight. I was surprised about the Redskins, man. Thought they would have a better season than they're showing right now, but hey, it is what it is, man. And what are these other two games? Denver and Kansas City. Any surprises there?
Not at all. Hey, well, I can't say that. The game played out the way I thought it was, because remember we talked on the last telecast that I could give KC's defense the ability to hold Denver under the average of slightly over 40 points and even 30 points. But I couldn't see them holding them under 20, and I couldn't see Alex Smith, without no special teams defensive scores, scoring 20 points. So both of those two things happened. I see the same thing being the case when they play 2 weeks from now and go to KC. It'll be a little different because KC fans will be rowdy and things of that nature. It may be a little tighter, but it's going to be the same principle. If Alex Smith don't get help from the other two parts of the game, he's not going to score 20 points. That's just not going to happen. He's not a make it happen big play type quarterback. He's a manager and a guy that's not going to lose your games, which is cool, and that helps you win a lot of games when you have a good team. But the problem with that is when you play other good teams, he's not going to win it for you. So the Kansas City has been a fraud team all year.
Do you think Kansas City, like playing against Denver, they need to speed it up a little bit, maybe have Alex Smith play a little faster, not huddle as much, kind of go no huddle?
No, because that plays into the reason why their defense is so strong, because their defense gets the time to go ahead and rest because they have long drives and things of that nature. They just are not a very explosive team. They only really have one explosive player in the whole offense, and that's Jamal Charles, which is the reason why he leads the team. I mean, he leads the team in rushing and receiving. Like, he is the main cog weapon, which is ridiculous, that your running back leads your team in both. I haven't seen that since Damian Tomlinson a couple of years ago.
I wonder how much are they actually letting Smith actually go down the field. You know, how many big shots are they taking the game, or are they just keeping it pretty conservative?
Well, that's the thing. That's not his thing. His thing is that's why, you know, I'm a real big, you know, stats guy, but that's why, you know, a person like Alex Smith, he proves to you that, you know, statistics show a lot, but they don't tell everything. His passing rating, percentages, and everything is off the charts. He don't throw a lot of picks and things of that nature. But when you look at, you know, things like his third down completion percentage, or you look at things like, what I want to say, like you want to look at the big plays over 20 yards, and you want to see the chart for where he's throwing the ball, he's like Joe Montana without the weapons. He's throwing a whole bunch of check downs and passes under 20 yards.
Okay, and has that always been his MO, or is this the game plan that they're
that's the reason why.
City?
Oh no, that's his MO. That's part of the reason why when he was in San Fran, when they were saying, well, I don't know why Harbaugh is getting rid of this guy. He's winning games and shouldn't lose his job because of injury. Because of the fact that with Alex Smith, you know what you have in him and you know what he isn't. He's not going to go and give you big plays from that position for your player who's going to be touching the ball every step. If you're going to need your quarterback to be able to make big-time plays, and it's a combination of the offenses a little bit, but also more so on him, he just does not throw the ball down the field 20-plus yards. That's just not his take.
So basically, I mean, but he fits into what Andy Reid's looking for as far as the Kansas City Chiefs are concerned, their style of play. He's the ideal quarterback, and that's why they are successful this year.
But hold on, but what I will say is the biggest surprise from that game was, league coming to that game, Kansas City led the league in sacks. I'm surprised that they did not get no pressure, sacks, or hurries, or anything on Peyton Manning. The offensive line did an excellent job, gave him time to go ahead and throw the ball, because I was amazed that they weren't able to take advantage of him.
I was like, dude has a lot of time back. Like, he wasn't rushed or anything. And I was, especially how they were talking about he was having problems with his leg, that there would have been a lot more pressure on Peyton, at least some hurries, see him scrambling a little bit like Cam Newton had, not like Cam, but like trying to get out of a little bit of trouble. None of that existed that game. And,
excellent job for protecting him.
Yeah, I thought they would have took somebody into Indianapolis booking and tried to put a lot of pressure on Peyton, make him rush his throws or, get up under his skin a little bit. But none of that happened, so I guess that's the offensive line at work.
Well, it's a combination of that, and then they were throwing a lot of real quick passes. I mean, with the line blocking the way they did, and also they had a time. I believe they said Pippen was getting rid of the ball in like 2.5 seconds. So yeah, there was no time to get to him. So.
Okay, now you know what? I'm gonna let you do your thing, man, because we're gonna talk about the Monday night game that occurred the last night.
Oh, my boy, you be hating on.
Where are you getting this from, man? I was disappointed.
Look,
in
man, everybody. Listen, everybody can go to the earlier games when you was hating on my mans and doggone because they started 0-3 and you was talking that rubbish. So the tapes was there. But continue with what you talk. What you got to say?
You know what? Once he beat my Giants, it clicked in for him. But yeah, everybody, we're talking about the Carolina Panthers beating the New England Patriots at home. I don't recall ever seeing them brothers on Monday Night Football before, the Carolina Panthers. But they did hold true. They put out the victory, even though everybody's trying to act like that last play controversial. Give me your overview of the game in the last play. Should have something been called or what?
Well, I'm just gonna go with the last play first because that's the thing that everybody goes with, so I'm going to leave with that first so I can get out the way and I can get to the real thing about the game, which is my man showing up. But per the rule, which is NFL Rule 8, Section 5, Article 3, which falls under permissible acts, they say the acts that are permissible by a player include but are not limited to contact that would normally be considered pass interference, but the pass is clearly, keywords coming up, uncatchable by the involved players, as specified in Rule 8.3, blah, 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 pertaining to blocking downfield by the offense. So, in English, if the ball is considered to be uncatchable by the referees on the field, then anything that happens after that is not going to be called for pass interference, which is why when the referee went ahead and threw that flag in the back of the end zone, he threw the flag because from his perception initially, he thought it was pass interference because he saw how Luke Kuechly was all face guarding Gronkowski. But then he went ahead, he waved the other referees over, and they did what we always complain that people should do. They had a conference because he said to them, look, I looked at the play, and I thought it was pass interference. The question is, y'all had the other angle views. Did y'all feel as if that, the ball was uncatchable? The other two refs said, all right, the ball, in our opinion, was uncatchable. So between that team working together, they came to the conclusion, you picked the flag up, the game's over, it wasn't pass interference. Now, I understand from looking at it why everybody says that, because we have all been taught that when a guy's going down the field, that if the guy does not look back and he's draped over him, it's a flag. Okay,
now,
but I also know that when the bat, go ahead.
If Brady would have threw that ball to the back of the end zone, it would have been a legitimate flag, right? Even if, let's say, it sailed over Gronkowski's head or somewhere in his vicinity.
Yeah, because it would be then you can't say that the ball was not uncatchable, because per the rule it says, but the pass is clearly uncatchable. So because of the fact that Brady couldn't step into his throw and the ball was short, which is even evidence of that by the other player coming in and having to go ahead and dive forward to catch the ball, which shows that the ball was having a low trajectory and was not high, that's another reason that would give the referees the feeling as if that the ball was uncatchable. That it was going to be like a low throw.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm with you on it. Like I said, when you look at Gronkowski's momentum, he was headed towards the back of the end zone. That ball was thrown, let's say, 3 yards in front of him. He would have had to turn around and dive for it, and the guy who intercepted the ball would have beat him to it. And he had to dive for the ball as well. So bottom line is the ball was underthrown, and that's why the flag was picked up. They're not going to take the game away from Carolina on the underthrown ball. That wasn't catchable. They weren't going to give them the flag for that.
Now, I thought two things when I saw that play. I went all the way back to the Super Bowl when everybody was crying that they should have threw a flag. They shouldn't let him play it through, and how could they call the flag? Now, this goes to my second point. Listening to other people today who played the game and things of that nature, they said that because Gronkowski did not make attempts, and you can watch the tape all the time you want to, because he did not make an attempt to work his way back to the ball. He didn't put on no act. I don't want to say flopping, but he didn't flail his arms and he didn't do nothing to show that he was trying to ward off Kuechly and then get back to the ball. Because of his passive stance in nature, they said it's also another thing that played into the referees feeling as if that, you know what, along with the ball being underthrown, nor did you show any type of action to get back to the ball to make us go ahead and make this call by you putting on a show and you acting. So because he makes no attempt to try to get back to the ball. But if he would have done that, he would have gotten the call.
The ball was underthrown. That's why Gronkowski didn't react any certain way, because the ball was nowhere near where it was supposed to. The play was intended to go.
Well, it was a combination of the ball being underthrown, but if the ball, even with the ball being underthrown, if he tries to go ahead and throw Kuechly out the way, and if he would try to make some action to show that he was being impeded, then they would be forced to go and throw the penalty flag. But because he basically just ate it and just absorbed Kuechly's body, because at that point the ball is about to get intercepted and things like that. But because he didn't put on no acting show and he didn't make no attempt to get back to the ball, then it just made the ref's jobs easier to go ahead and pick the flag up and say it wasn't pass interference.
Well, let's since we got that covered, let's talk about how we got to that point. How was Carolina at that point where New England needed to have this touchdown to win this particular game?
Well, I believe what happened the series before is that Brady had taken the team down the field and they had scored a field goal, make it 20-17. Cam gets the ball, which is the thing that no one wants to talk about. I believe they go 13 or 15 plays and go 83 yards. He caps it off with a curl route to Ted Ginn to go up to make the score 24-20. Then, of course, Brady being Brady, he gets the ball back with less than a minute left with 3 timeouts. He works them all the way down the field, and that's when we get to the point where we get to the situation of whether it was pass interference or not pass interference. But up until that point, they went ahead and Cam clearly outplayed Brady. He had better stats. He didn't have no turnovers. He was calm. He was composed, and that's why I call Carolina the Kansas City Chiefs of the NFC, because they can play defense, they can run the ball. They have a quarterback that can manage the game, but unlike Kansas City, they also have a quarterback that can win you games and make plays in the pocket with his feet and his legs, and he put that on full display the whole night yesterday. He, and even doggone Steve Smith said that, he was starting to see some slight cracks of greatness coming out from his quarterback, which is the third year, which is when you want to see it. So, he went ahead and he played a great game throughout the whole game, and that's being lost with this rule, and people think it was pass interference on his play and also the defense's play to frustrate Brady. Because you can't make the excuse you made before. He had his whole complement of players. Even Amendola was healthy, and they still got held down to 20 points, and he only threw 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he didn't have a high passing percentage. So I don't want that to get lost, because everybody keeps on focusing on the last, 10 seconds of that game.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's a sensationalism that we like, especially with Brady running off the field, yelling at the referees and things of that nature. But to me, New England's the last team that needs to talk, because we know they have a history of getting favorable calls. So, hey, it is what it is right now as far as that's concerned with them. They're 7-3. They still got a commanding lead over their particular division. Carolina's 1 game behind New Orleans. They play them, 2 more times yet, right?
Yeah, the same way how you have KC and Denver play each other twice in 3 weeks. The same thing is going to happen with the Saints and Carolina. They're going to play each other week 14 and week 16. So it's going to be a lot of races coming down to the week before last season. So it's going to be real. Ain't nobody going to be able to rest their players, that's for sure.
Well, Carolina and Seattle are the hottest teams in football right now. So, they're doing what they need to do at the right time of the season. So, we're entering, the last 5 weeks of the season? So, like
yes,
I said,
some teams, we still got some teams that still haven't, which is still crazy. Still got some teams that haven't gone on by yet.
So, yeah, you're looking at a lot of good division races, a lot of very high impactful games coming up. So, you know, our picks are going to become even more important now these next few weeks coming up because the games are going to have a higher stake, so you should see a lot more focus and energy in these particular games. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. Anything you need to add before we get on out of here, Ed?
No. The only thing I want to say is that, like you said, there's going to be some interesting games coming down the stretch. And it's basically what's going to happen is the playoffs is pretty much starting now because you're going to have a lot of teams that's either going to be competing for the division or for wild cards, and they're going to start playing each other, either their conference or out of conference schedule. Like, for example, I know the Eagles, of their next 5 games they play Chicago, Detroit, and Arizona. All 3 of those teams are 6-4. Then you have Carolina Saints, like we said, they play Week 14, Week 16. We already know Denver and KC, they already got it on Week 13. They're going to do it again Week 15. And then one key game that's going to really be a shifter in the NFC for the bye situation is that, remember, the Saints I believe the Saints have to travel to Seattle to go play them. So, I mean, there could be a situation, and by the time the Saints and Carolina see each other, they could both have, the same record. And then they just start hashing out from there. And then, San Francisco 6-4, along with the other 6-4 teams with Chicago and Detroit. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of things going down here. And, like I said, the great thing about it is all these teams actually play each other before the playoffs. So it's not going to be no scenario situation where, this team should have got in and that's no. They all play each other either because of out of conference or conference schedules. So, actually, the playoffs are starting right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it's good things coming up. And before I get out of here, too, I just want to say on the NBA, you got the Knicks playing Detroit. They're both 3-6. I think the Knicks might go to 3-7 tonight. Detroit might be able to get them. The Knicks haven't been solid on the road, and I think that big front line is going to be a big problem for the Knickerbockers. So it should be some more turmoil in New York tomorrow morning when the beat writers get a hold of this terrible start. Other than that, I want to watch a little bit of Phoenix. They're the Morris. Is it Morris? Yeah, the Morris brothers have been looking pretty good together lately. Taking control of the
you talking about Phoenix? Man, Phoenix. I'm surprised by Bledsoe and Plumlee. That's what I'm surprised by.
The Plumlee boys are solid, man. To me, they're not. You can never go wrong with the two. I don't know about the younger brother in college right now, but they're solid. They're not going to mess up. They're not going to try to go for 20 and 10. They're going to stay within themselves and be contributors. I think the one that's in Phoenix is a lot more athletic than the Plumlee brother that's over there in Brooklyn. So I'm not surprised at all. I am surprised they're 5-4 and they're in the hunt. And I'm also surprised that the Philadelphia 76ers are leading the Eastern Conference with a terrible 5-7 record. So that's interesting too.
Because your precious Brooklyn squad that I told you was going to be a whole bunch of old men and selling out.
Hey, it all is Darren Williams. Darren Williams has got to get healthy. Once he's healthy and he has a solid 10-game start, they just got to hold off because he's the key. He's the key. Even in Brooklyn, remember Rajon Rondo was the key to success. He has to be healthy and has to be aggressive for them to be successful.
Well, if he's your key, then they're done.
Hey, you know what? We're in the first month of the season, so let's see where they are by Christmas time. Let's see where Ricky is, and we'll revisit it. All right, cool. Well, another great show, Ed. I appreciate it with you. We'll get together later on in the week, discuss some NBA, and get ready for the next week of, what are we in, week 12 now, I think?
Yep, week 12.
Week 12, so it's moving along pretty fast. So, man, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. Again, this is BeatStreet Sports Talk Radio. Be safe out there. I'll catch you later, Ed. Peace.